When it comes to making Cincinnati attractive for a talented workforce, we don't have mountains or oceans, but we do have historic buildings and tax credits. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece, Tax Credit City. Cincinnati leads the way in Ohio tax breaks, which have had a transformative effect. Ohio's Historic Preservation Tax Credit program helps leverage our old buildings into reasons to relocate here. Two local organizations have capitalized big time, 3CDC and the Model Group. The projects are mostly in Over the Rhine, Pendleton, and Walnut Hills. Since 2006, the program has approved tax credits for more than 400 projects in 71 Ohio communities. And no other part of the state comes close to Cincinnati when it comes to the total number of projects that have benefited from and been completed with the help of these tax credits. Business Courier reporter Tom Demeropoulos wrote a comprehensive cover story on their impact on the community. He joins Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio with more on the program. Tom and Rob.
Thanks, Peg. Tom, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Rob.
So explain why these tax credits are so important for a city like Cincinnati.
Yeah, so Cincinnati has a huge supply of historic building stocks. That's one of the really great things about our cities. We've kept a lot of our old buildings, and while we have them, it takes a lot of money to bring them back to useful life. So if you're a developer and you're trying to figure out how to take these buildings and make them, kind of breathe new life into them, it takes a little bit of help to get there. And one of the terms that they use for this is kind of baklava financing. It takes a lot of different layers, and this state tax credit has been that kind of, usually it's that last piece that gets a project across the finish line and makes them able to do a project.
Cincinnati's an old city for sure, but so are a lot of other cities in Ohio. What is it about Cincinnati? Why have we been able to score so many more of these credits than Cleveland, let's say, or Columbus or Dayton, or cities like that?
Yeah, so a couple of our developers, 3CDC in particular and the Model Group, have really figured out the way to kind of crack the application process, and they know what buildings to go for, and they know which buildings to take. It's a very competitive process across the state. You have a lot of different measures. They look at the economic impact, they look at the regional impact, they look at the impact on the poverty level at the area where the project is located. So they figured out when to take projects to apply for this credit and when not to. And it's really meant for projects that wouldn't happen without this tax credit. And so they're scored very competitively. So when you figure out which projects need it, those are the ones that usually get it.
So maybe you can tick off just a couple that maybe our viewers have seen as they drive around Cincinnati, some buildings maybe that they'd recognize that have been rehabbed because of these credits.
Yeah, some of our most important buildings have really benefited from this tax credit. If you look at Union Terminal, they received a $5 million tax credit. Music Hall, which is their biggest recipient, they received one of the state's catalytic $25 million tax credits. And that really, without that tax credit, that project would have been very, very different from what it is today. The Baldwin building in Walnut Hills, or Paramount Square building in Walnut Hills, just these great pieces of architecture that needed new life, and that tax credit was the thing that helped them get there.
So are there some buildings coming up, projects coming up that we should keep our eyes on that have maybe gotten credits?
Yeah, so a couple projects that'll be coming in the works here soon are the 4th and Walnut Center downtown, which is going to be converted into 2 hotels in a co-branded hotel space. And then you've got Model Group and 3CDC partnered, and they won kind of a mixed site project in Over the Rhine. They're going to add about more than 150 apartments in Over the Rhine. They got a $5 million tax credit for that project.
Well, it's a great story, a lot of great information. Also, the story explains sort of how these work and why they work. It's definitely a story that's worth your time, and I urge you to pick it up. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rob.